don't step on anything else. Okay. That's better. Okay. Hi. This is the guy not hi. So I should probably say hello. Well, 10,000 subscribers. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Wow. This was not a moment I was expecting to encounter, and, yeah, I said I'd put up an AMA, and, there's some questions to answer, so being that I'm not, great without having a script, we'll stick to something I can actually read. But we'll get started here. So, going in chronological order, I will try to kind of refer back to previous answers for any repeat questions or anything like that. There's a couple of simple ones that got asked a couple of times. No big deal. First one from Eclipse Renee. What's your favorite character to voice act? Well, the easy answer is Danny, as he was probably the most fun character I had acting, especially when he was first introduced. I believe the original script prompt, you can probably find it in the comments, but the original script prompt, I think it was in the notes actually, down at the end of the script, said something about the scream should be like something out of The Amazing Gumball. I've seen enough of it to understand that I cannot quite achieve that, but I tried, kind of. Next question. Karina Lane asks, if you could work with any VA, whether again or for the first time, who would it be? There's a number of VAs out there that I've listened to. I mostly listen to female VAs myself, but I've kind of gotten to hear from some more of the guys lately now that I'm actually doing this myself, and I'll be honest, Escaped Audios is pretty easy to work with, and he's a very motivated guy. And I am definitely looking forward to the next time I get to record for him, and yeah, we'll see if anything else comes of that as well. All right. Next set of questions are from Insomniac Vamp Writer, or the Insomniac Vampire. First question. When you first started, did you ever think you would get this far? No. This was kind of started on a whim after listening for years and years and years and realizing, I actually have everything to try this out. And people took this a lot better than I thought they ever would. So again, thank you everybody. This is really so it's really awesome, but really weird at the same time. Next question. What's your favorite audio you've done so far? There's a lot of choices for me, but Nameless Planet, I think, is gonna be my pick for favorite. Not by a wide margin, but I think that one I had a lot of fun with, just because there was kind of a reveal into the yandere, and there was the whole sci-fi weird symbiote aspect to it, and that moment where you find out the listeners, still not 100% put together, and that how that's surreal. It's a unique piece, and I really enjoyed playing that character and being able to kind of slowly get into that unhinged, obsessive trait as it went on. And it had plenty to do in post-production as well. Next question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? Oh boy. I wrote down some notes for myself so I didn't sit here saying and ah too much. And honestly, I would never want to have to sleep again. I feel like it's a boring answer. I guess maybe slightly less boring than saying, being able to turn invisible, but honestly, I don't like passing out randomly at my computer at the end of the day anymore, and it's probably a indicator of how old I'm starting to get too. Next question. If you ever had a chance to go back to the past or the future, what one would it be? I would go back to the past, and honestly, I don't know enough about where I'm going to be in the future, and maybe I'm looking at this time travel thing wrong, but yeah, it's kind of a leap of faith to go forward and just to, find out, did things get worse? Did things actually get better? Is there something that you're excited to see pan out, and are you going to like what you see by the time you get there? While being able to take lessons I've learned now and go back to the past and kind of sort of maybe start over or something to that extent, I think that'd be a little bit more up my alley. Next question. If a writer did a script and wanted to send it to you, where would they be able to send it to you? If you want, my email is in my channel description. I think there's like a button that you have to click, but yeah, it's just guyisnothigh@gmail.com. Don't ask me why I decided to do that one in particularly different, but maybe it means I get a little bit less spam. But yeah, I'm a little backlogged, so no promises to anybody, but yeah, I'll definitely read it though, either way. Next question. Out of all the characters you've done, who do you sort of relate to? I think Ace from the hijacking of a stranded ship, or also known as the Of Plights and Piracy series. Partially, I ended up playing him fairly naturally to my regular voice. Didn't try to go all royal or anything like that like I usually do with most of my vampires, but yeah, there's like a specific amount of sarcasm and a specific amount of just fuck it he has that I kind of maybe not same level of trauma, but I've definitely felt that in my life, and going to work kind of makes you do that every once in a while. Okay. Next set of questions from Hatsume Official. First question. Who's your favorite character from the You're His Mother series? Now, this kind of sort of correlates with an earlier question, but yeah, it's definitely Danny. I love all the boys, and there's problems with Danny early on, but I think that that adds more to his story as it develops and gives him a path to develop into. And I feel like You're Her Father, is explores that a little bit more, gets more of a chance to. Next question. Who is your favorite ASM artist? If I listened more as often as I used to, I'd probably have a more current answer, as it were, but the two that I'd have to point out are going to be Dangerous ASMR, partially just because she's been around long enough that I've actually been listening to her since pretty close to the beginning of her channel. Not the very beginning, but, for a long time. And, of course, Milky T ASMR. She's kind of half the reason, maybe a little bit more than half, the reason I finally got the push to even start recording and, end up here. What's my favorite game? This is a tough one. I used to game a lot more as a kid, but I think if you really had to crunch it down and find like the most correct answer for me, it's Skyrim. I haven't touched it in a long time, but I remember I've spent so many hours, got to the point where, packing it on with tons and tons and tons and tons of mods, and, first being on a little crappy little laptop and then burning the crap out of that as a result, trying to, not overload it, and then finding out what the plugin limit was, and then playing through on multiple characters, getting to the point where you just never fast travel anymore because you know exactly how to walk everywhere, and that was kind of what you wanted to do in the first place. Yeah, the answer is Skyrim, if you look at it like that. Next question. If you get a chance to meet your idol, who would it be? I don't know if I'd say I have an idol, per se. There's definitely some people that I, agree with in certain things, but idol's a tough word. But if we want to talk about someone who got about as close to being my idol as possible, Adam Grantier, when he was singing for 3 Days Grace, and this is a long time ago when he was part of it. I think he left, I don't remember the specific year, probably 2016, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe 2014, right after Transit of Venus. But yeah, really into 3 Days Grace back in the day, and Adam Grantier, I wanted to sing like him for sure, and I wanted to be able to make music like him, and I tried. So, next question: where are you from? Despite me being American, I'll go as specific as saying I'm from the Pacific Northwest. So, above California, I guess, where it's just colder and rainier, but almost as expensive in some cases. So, yeah, been here all my life though. Next questions come from Crazy Court. First question, what has been your favorite audio? I answered earlier, it's been Nameless Planet, if I had to choose an individual at least. Next question, who has been your favorite script writer? I'll come up with two answers for the reason of I think just about everybody in the community, at least everybody that, actually, looks for public scripts, has noticed It's Esme Jones is in a different league as far as talent goes. I think it's really hard to argue that, because not just from the sheer volume, but with the amount of creativity, and a lot of the subject matter can kind of go in a lot of different directions. Sure, you can see that himbos are a favorite of theirs, but Esme has got a very, very unique, very interesting, and very well-developed imagination, and definitely has a ton of experience just writing stories in general. So the fact that they've given us so many scripts as it is, and so many really good series is something to, something you don't discount. But if I had to come up with another answer, because, Esme is kind of a default for some people, I enjoy Straight Out of Wit, which I think Atlas Horizon is the Twitter handle that they use. They're the writer of Hijacking a Stranded Spaceship, and, also called Of Plights and Piracy. They've written a few series, and ones that I've actually listened to before I started recording in a couple cases. And again, it's kind of more just up my alley type of tastes. And I remember it was when I saw the first script for Hijacking a Stranded Spaceship, I related to Ace quite a bit, and I really enjoyed the fact that there was banter between Ace and Jackie. And yeah, I had a hard time not recording that one. Next question. What ideas do you have for the future? Well, other than just, actually, making audios at a decent pace, which, again, I apologize for the tardiness of everything. But as far as something a little bit more pointed, I do have one script that I have written that I've been sitting on for a little while. Kind of without spoiling anything, I'll just say it's like a friends to lovers type of thing. Not slice of life, and I'll leave it at that. Kind of want it to be a surprise when it comes out, but still like mustering up the courage to just, have people read it and give me feedback and let me know whether or not I'm even, if it's even worth recording as is, or if I need to rework a bunch of it or chop it up or turn it into a series type of thing. I don't know. Something that just kind of came from the head. But yeah, if other stuff I'm kind of hoping to do in the future is I'd like to try to do some more commission scripts as well. But I feel like I've got so much going on in my backlog that I haven't really been able to stop and really ask for stuff like that. But I don't plan on stopping anytime soon, that's for sure. All right, next question's from Sirani Katie? Yeah, I probably don't know that one real well, but Sirani Katie, yeah, I think that's about as close as I'm going to get. Okay, one question. Who can you take in a fight, Danny or Julian? I'm taking Danny. If I have to pick between the two of them, I'm going after Danny every single time. Julian is, I think he's got a mode that if you do get in a fight with him, he will turn off emotions and he will make absolutely sure that he comes out on top, especially if it turns into more of a life-threatening situation or if he has to protect someone, as timid as he can get. Danny, I could see him throwing nothing but haymakers, and you'd be easy to frustrate him. I like my chances against Danny. Julian scares me just a little bit. Just a little bit. Next question's from Nymphomoth. Nymphomoth. First question. Are there any plans for more fantasy-type audios with fantasy listeners like fairies, lamias, werewolves, and all that? While I don't have anything offhand that I can think of that I've put in my backlog, I know there's a couple out there. I know the Millennium, what is her name? The Moth in the Spider's Web audio, which I think originally is supposed to be a butterfly, but felt a little less guilty putting a moth in that web. But that one does feature, a drider essentially as a listener, and eats the speaker by the end of it, assumedly. But yeah, stuff like that, I definitely have an interest in. I don't know if it's a big audience pull, which is why I don't think I've seen all that many monster listener audios. But I've listened to tons and tons and tons of I'll just admit it, Monster Girl stuff. And I definitely wouldn't mind recording kind of a flip perspective on those kind of stories myself. It's just a matter of either commissioning them or just figuring out if I can write them, which we'll see. Next question. Where is it that you find scripts for your audios? Yeah, I get my scripts from ASMR Script Haven. I think some people get them from Audio. These are subreddits, by the way. Or Pillow Talk scripts, or just Pillow Talk. I don't remember. I don't think I've actually grabbed any scripts from there, but a lot of the script writers that post to ASMR Script Haven also post on Pillow Talk, I've noticed. And then there's also a fairly new subreddit, Talking Tall Tales, that I'm looking to get a little bit more involved in as I get a little bit more involved with my own channel. And partially just because that's where Esme is going as well. And, we still have You're Her Father to finish, so that's probably where I'm going to find those scripts as well. All right, next set of questions comes from Zion Loperena. Loperena? Well, let me know if I got close with that one at all. First question, what has been the hardest series to prepare or upload? Hardest. Okay, so technically, honestly, the hijacking a stranded ship or of Plights and Piracy, that has been technically one of the most difficult series I have done. Partially editing Jackie, I got kind of, what do you say, obsessive with cutting out as many breath sounds as I possibly could, and spending a bunch of time hacking all the lines together, so it sounded just a little bit unnatural, right? Because Jackie's an AI, not a real person, and it gets to the point where I have, if some of you haven't noticed, I have forgotten exactly how I do the voice of Jackie. I have the filters, that's all fine. It's just I play it a couple of different ways. In the next part, I'm using some new plugins, so Jackie's going to sound a little bit different. Hopefully it sounds a little bit more computer without losing the emotional aspect that Jackie's capable of. So hopefully that comes across well. But yeah, Plights of Piracy, and then as a kind of an honorable mention, The Siren's Tomb was kind of the first one that I was daunted by when I went to go edit it. And that one was probably one of the first ones where I really felt like I had to make something big and dynamic with a whole bunch of action in it, and there was the whole thing of the listener kind of sort of speaking back to the speaker character. So yeah, hopefully a part 2 comes out for that eventually. Next question. What is your favorite series that you've made and why? So, favorite, I know what most people's favorites are on this channel, but as far as my own personal favorite, as far as story goes, I think of Plights and Piracy is probably the one that interests me the most. Not by the widest margin. There's definitely... I definitely pick scripts that I like. Just to put that out there, it's not like I'm forcing myself to do any of these necessarily. There's plenty of stuff to pick from, and there's plenty of stuff that is not my cup of tea that plenty of other VAs like to record and make. But yeah, I think Plights of Piracy is the one that one I would choose. Next question comes from Dini, or Dini. Is there a new series in the near future? There must be extra work, right? There's always something to work on. I'm just going through my own challenges with motivation and maybe a little bit of burnout, I guess, if you really want to get into it. I am doing this part-time. I have a 40-hour a week, 5 days a week job, and while I could put out audios faster than I used to, faster than I am right now, excuse me. That kind of sort of takes all of my extra time at home, and there was a time when I was really motivated to do it, and I've made some adjustments to my process, kind of hoping to increase the quality, and unfortunately it's had a adverse effect on the speed. I'm probably also just getting pickier too, but yeah, that's where I'm at. Next question from Jorugia Jojo. Favorite games? So, to expand on the earlier mention of this, Skyrim's obviously there. Other games that I've spent a whole lot of time on back in the day, and some currently, Halo 3. I played a lot of Halo 2, but it wasn't until Halo 3 that I really got deep into playing Halo and shooters and whatnot like that. And that one was the one I probably spent the most time actually trying to get better at. But there's Halo 3. There's also the original Mass Effect trilogy. I haven't played any of the remakes, but I do remember I did like 3 full playthroughs on that trilogy, and I remember my logs showed something like I had like 80 hours in each game or something like that. So naturally, that leads to Baldur's Gate 3. I'm just a lot better at playing the gameplay style of Mass Effect than I am in Baldur's Gate 3, to be honest. Other mentions to say Stardew Valley. I've spent a lot of time in Stardew Valley. Haven't had a whole lot of time to spend in it lately, but Stardew Valley was a lot of fun to do. And yeah, in sometimes when I just need to play a little bit, get some stimulation going, I do play a little bit of Quaver, and I'm trying to play OS. Not great, by any stretch at either game. I played a lot of DDR as a kid, and that's why I tried Craver, and I just realized just how far people have gotten with being able to play ridiculous maps on rhythm games. All right, next question comes from Venny. I think I'm saying that right. First question, what inspired you to do ASMR? So, the moment that I decided I should go try to open a channel and record was essentially a moment that I was spending in Milky T ASMR's Discord, and she went off to go record something, came back, and I was like, oh, that was fast, and asked her a couple questions, heard a little bit about the process, and just kind of had that revelation moment of like, hang on, I've got this mic, I've got this computer, I know how to edit audio, I've done plenty of that for years, let's just see if I can act. So recorded the first audio, posted it, made a couple others. Eventually the algorithm picked up, and the rest is history. Next question, favorite color? Well, honestly, it's red. Can't be a candy red if we're gonna get all nitpicky. I like kind of the dark reds, you know, the edgelord type of shit. But I'm opening up to purple, honestly, you know, deep royal purples and stuff like that. Next question, who is your favorite character in all of your audios? If I'm going by character, I guess all of them are kind of fun to play to some point, but honestly, I thought of Morpheus with this specific question. So Morpheus, obviously from the God of Dreams or the Sandman series. And honestly, it's just because he's, again, kind of like Ace. He's got a bit of that sarcastic, roll your eyes type of attitude, and cusses like a sailor, which I'll be honest, at work comes pretty naturally to me. So yeah, that was easy for me to kind of slip into. Next question. When did you discover roleplay ASMR or ASMR in general? So I got to stretch back a little bit to kind of remember specifics, but I think I do specifically remember seeing some kind of clip back when I was in high school, you know, over 12 years ago. And remember thinking that, you know, people rubbing their beards on microphones was kind of weird. I didn't really understand what ASMR was. I didn't even know if ASMR was like the action taken or the reaction you had. I learned later what it actually was, but it wasn't until I was out of high school for a few years before I really discovered what ASMR audio roleplay was. I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago, I kind of got into finding all the different channels that were still like active at the time. A bunch of them are not active now, but one of them that was active back then, which is one of my current favorites, is Dangerous ASMR. And that was kind of early in her channel, not at the very beginning, but definitely early. But yeah, and one of the few from when I used to listen back then that are still active, and yeah, still posts, still makes stuff, still posting sequels to series that she started years ago. Yeah. All right, next question's from ChuMoon. Oh boy, hi Chu. First question, you taking care of yourself? I'm trying. Work's been kind of beating me up physically a little bit more lately. Still kind of coping with that. I'm dealing with some back pain right now, but I've got, you know, stuff lined up to try and start taking care of that. It's just going from, you know, hey, I'm sore every once in a while to, oh, I'm getting old. But yeah, trying to take care of myself. And which series has been the hardest to make? Of course, Plights and Piracy. And yeah. Next question's from Idyllic. Yes, that one. Their question is, if you could choose any pet or exotic animal to have, what would it be? I see exotic animal and I just immediately go past cats and dogs. I would love a snake. They are beautiful creatures in my eyes, and as dangerous as they can be or whatnot, there's something unique about the snake specifically that I am drawn to more than anything. More of a dog person, if you really want to know as well, more than cats, but I don't hate cats. I've got friends that have lots and lots and lots of pets. I don't think I'm ever going to have any, considering I can barely manage a ASMR channel. I doubt you want me managing a dog's food bowl. Okay, next question from ArafrJ, ARAFRJ. First question, have you ever thought about coming up with a name to call us, like a specific name? Not like my darling or love. I mean, I haven't thought of anything specifically, partially because I'm not writing the scripts either. How the listener is referred to in script is usually, maybe not usually, but can be important to the plot specifically. I mean, look at Escaped Audios and stuff. He has specific names, but they're each names for a specific listener character in each series. But yeah, I probably would have to consider this question a little bit more seriously if I ever do decide to start streaming. We'll see. I might try it once or twice, but yeah, I don't know if I have the personality for it myself. And what is your most favorite series? Like I said earlier, of Plights and Piracy. Next question comes from Exo Azura. First question, all of these are for the You're Her Father series. Will Julian and Daniel get to meet their cousins? And, well, all these questions are going to be better answered by Esme, who wrote the series. I will say that I think Esme does take some community feedback as far as writing follow-up parts, but it doesn't mean you're not going to get a little surprise here and there from Esme as far as the storyline goes. Second question, I know that the listener is most probably pregnant, so can you please give us a hint if Jules and Danny are going to have a baby sister or brother? And your team baby sister. And I've read part 4. That is the current furthest script that has been out, and I'll probably be recording that soon-ish. But anyway, as far as I can tell in the script, the possibility is either. It has been mentioned that it could be a baby boy or a baby girl, specifically referred to as one or the other. But I think it's technically too early in the series to really know. I don't know if part 5 will give any hints for it. I don't know if that'll be something that we find out by the time we get to the end of season 2. Depends on how Esme wants to, how far they want to go in the timeline. And number 3, last question. I'm most probably going to make fan art using my OC to be the listener, so where can I send the art to you? Well, I've got socials on the descriptor for the channel in the About section. You can find me on Twitter, X, I guess. Instagram, I'm not really posting much on there, but I do get notifications for it, so I will see it and I can comment. Reddit also works. Haven't had anyone send me on anything on Reddit, but yeah, I do have a Reddit account, and they're all The Guy Not High. I made this account specifically for, audio RP and roleplay and whatnot. And there's also the email address, as I mentioned earlier, that you can also find in my About section on the channel. Next questions come from Morgan Moon. First question, what has been your favorite series that you have made? Again, that is of Plights and Piracy. And next question, what has been the biggest challenge or obstacle that you've faced when making videos? Well, motivation, I think, is the right answer, we could call that. Mostly just sitting down and actually doing it after I come home from work. But as far as the actual process itself goes, it's sound effects. It's all post-production. It's It's making the decisions and looking for sound effects that I don't already have or don't already have libraried or anything like that. I've been trying to get more tools lately to try and help with all that stuff. But yeah, it's still hard to find stuff, and I'm having to look more broadly to find libraries and whatnot and things that'll actually work in my audios. Next question comes from NeomiCheon. Why am I only seeing this now on YouTube? I did say ask me anything. So, he's probably just got buried among everything else. There's a lot of channels out on YouTube, and I don't know how many ASMR channels you're specifically following or whatever other channels you're following, but I imagine there's some juggling going on in the algorithm. At least late is better than never is the way I'm looking at it. Next question comes from Yumi. And for any series, which I know which series I'm going to have to pick, who would you kiss, marry, and kill? You're His Mother is really the only series I can think of having enough characters to consider. And I'm going to stick with the main characters because Lorenzo is too easy of a cop-out, and he's, you know what happened to him. So for the three boys, probably the right answer, or one of two right answers. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't say that. Probably the right answer is marry Aldo. Partially just because he's got provisions. He's the long-term smart choice, right? And not only is he able to provide, he's also quite respectful as well. Everything you'd love in a partner. Hence, he's the main guy. Julian, kiss him, just because he's way too adorable to do anything else with. And he just exudes the I need protection energy. And I don't think there would be anything else I'd want. He'd be my kid, basically, for all of time. And kill Danny. Yeah, I know. Someone has to go. But especially early in the series, Danny said some pretty stupid shit. I mean, that's part of what helps his redemption arc. I get it. But yeah, Danny, there's been some moments where we probably would have not missed Danny as much as we would have if the rest of the story hadn't played out. Next question comes from Up Late. Couple of questions, actually. First question, what was your favorite audio or series to make? So, Plights and Piracy, obviously, as I've been saying before. And by the time I started reading this question, I also considered, I did say Nameless Planet for my favorite audio, but another one that came through my head that after I kind of looked through the list again, Tale as Old as Time, the Beauty and the Beast inspired. That one is, I was pretty proud that it came out the way it did. Partially because I actually got to collab with Numpty on that one, and that was kind of a moment for me, being able to bring in another VA and add some more depth to the character roster. And also the fact that I had to sit there and do the Beast voice for over half an hour in the booth and managing to maintain it and not having to filter it or come up with anything crazy like that to make his voice work. So, proud of that one, we'll say. Next question, how do you get ideas? Well, the nice thing about doing nothing but public scripts is that you don't necessarily have to have grand ideas the way most normal content creator, well, I guess maybe not most, but the way the normal content creator would have to make. I do want to write more, and, just generally stuff that you read a lot, you hear a lot of audio RP, and you might get, your own ideas of like, oh, I really wish you could find an audio like this or this that featured this series, that featured these characters, featured more monster girls. That's just a me thing though. But as far as like sound design and whatnot goes, is sometimes you usually get cues in the script, but sometimes they don't really tell you how to make the ambiance or how to make certain things. And well, ambiance is necessarily not particularly difficult if you're not creating it from the scratch and from the ground up yourself. There are other times where you need to interpret what that cue is supposed to actually sound like, and how it's going to interact with the characters in some cases, whether or not the characters are reacting or making noises as well. So for me, you imagine it and you try to kind of get as close as you can to it, and you might adjust what your end goal is as you start to hear what available sound effects there are for you. And the very last question, and what advice would you give to somebody wanting to start voice acting? So above all else, you just have to start doing it. You're not really going to figure anything out about yourself as far as your skill as a voice actor or as an actor in general until you actually try to record it, listen back to it, and then you got to learn how to give yourself fair criticism. And just pay attention to details and whatnot. And even if you're starting on just recording on phone earbuds or something like that, there are plenty of details to figure out where, some people have gotten decent results with it. I've never messed with it myself, but, learning about where to put the mic, how to position your face in front of the mic, how to actually treat the room that you're recording in, how to remove some of the echo, and then you get into the other side of it where you actually talk into you actually get into what does your voice sound like? What are you trying to sound like? Are you putting a whole bunch of extra mouth noises in? Is there what can you do to take care of that? How are you enunciating? Is this part of the accent? Is the character doing this? Because you are playing as a character for the most part. And even if some characters do play off more naturally, you still have to, think, are you going to think about, what does it feel like to be angry? You kind of have to figure out what your acting style is. And again, it's just one of those things where you're not really going to figure it out unless you start actually trying to do it. An audio editor isn't going to make any noise unless you record something into it and then start adding other noises into it. You're never going to learn how to use all the tools that filter it and change the sounds and whatnot. So the short answer is just start doing it, and if you're paying attention, you'll learn about yourself and what your strengths and weaknesses are. Okay, so as far as the raw audio of everything that just came pouring out of my mouth, that is over 45 minutes. I'm going to try and cut that down a little bit. However short it gets to, hopefully I don't have to really cut out too many of the questions. I might have to cut out all the repeats. But yeah, there is my 10,000 subscriber special. Yeah, I mentioned that there is a script that I wrote that I'm sitting on that I am considering having, seeing if there's people that want to read it and give some brutally honest feedback. But I've also got plenty on my plate. I'm still kind of hovering on the editing for the next part of Plights and Piracy. I've got a bunch of other audios recorded already. I've started doing that, and so there's plenty for me to work on as far as the editing goes, but I've been getting pickier. I've been having a harder time editing stuff, so we'll see if I manage to push myself over a hump. Yeah, I do have plenty coming in the pipeline. I've been batch recording. I've been trying to edit when I can. Not as successfully as I'd like to say. But I don't have any plans on full on stopping. I know it's taking forever to put out audios, and I'm just going to have to let myself be okay with that for a little while, as I kind of sort of get caught up. Maybe as I start finishing some of these series, I might start doing more focuses on commissions, maybe even trying to write some stuff myself. maybe I'll find ways to schedule it, and maybe I'll find more people to help me keep accountable directly, and we'll see what happens. But again, thank you all for making that subscriber count go up so freaking fast in such a relatively short amount of time, honestly. And I was honestly not sure what I was going to do for 1,000, and then before I knew it, 1,000 was here and gone, and it got to the point where I couldn't really ignore the number anymore. Now that we're at 5 digits, I just figured I might as well do something a little bit different and kind of talk to you a little bit more candidly, without trying to play a character and without trying to read somebody else's words. So, yeah, thank you, everybody. I hope to hear from you in the comment section, and we'll see if I come up with any other crazy ideas. Ta-ta.